Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. In just a few moments, me and Rodney is going to get into a very heated argument. As we get in the argument, I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to drive over there, and we're going to have, Donnybrook, as Jim Ross would say, Donnybrook.
Well, I can tell you right now, if you need to jump in your car to come over here, you just lazy.
Folks, I do live right next door to him, so that's the reason.
I just walk across the yard there, unless you're already blowed up before you get up the steps.
I probably would be. So that would. Uh, Jack Lord is with us. Rodney West. I'm Brent West, and we are Pro Wrestling Inside Out. Jack, a lot of things going on in the world of professional wrestling. Well, I'm gonna let you tell everybody what's been going on this week.
Well, all the ratings are delayed for the most part. I didn't get current ratings, so we won't go over that. There was a big Labor Day weekend of professional wrestling on pay-per-views. WWE had a very solid show, both with SmackDown and Clash at the Castle. I honestly thought Clash at the Castle was probably the best pay-per-view that they have had in 10 years. Just solid from top to bottom. The Gunther Sheamus match was everything an old school wrestling fan could pray for. It was fantastic. The Sunday's NXT pay per view, not quite up to that standard, but was still a very good pay per view for them. And I see improvements coming with that product. Now, I will tell you that in my lifetime, I have made some terribly bad choices in my life, to include uh, marriages and working for a few odd promoters. But the worst decision I believe I have ever made in my life was when boredom got the better of me Sunday, and I ordered the AEW pay per view. I swear there was nothing that hooked me. The build for this pay per view was completely lacking. I'm supposed to believe that CM Punk is beat in 4 minutes because he's hurt so bad that he can't continue the match. And then 2 weeks later, he's supposed to have made a miraculous recovery and is the main event for the pay per view. Again, boredom and maybe a tad of mental illness on my part. But believe me, I won't make this mistake again. 5 hours to include the pre-show, which if I had known the matches on the pre-show, I would have watched the free pre-show, and that would have done me in, because there's only so many times that you can stand seeing Kingston drop his straps and show that he's never been to a tanning bed or a gym that you can take. And it was nothing but a chop fest. I've never understood the draw of that. Uh, I mean, once you've chopped somebody 20 times, 21 really doesn't mean anything. And I guarantee you there was probably 100 chops thrown in that match. I mean, that's all it was, really. I don't even remember who the winner is. I was just glad the match was over with. And then the pay per view starts. Well, now before the pay per view started, there was a mixed tag match. Now we've had mixed tag matches in our industry for years and years and years. However, you usually always limit the interaction between the men and the women. Oh, not with AEW, you don't, because Guevara absolutely dropped Ruby Soho on the side of her head and neck, causing a neck injury. Not enough to stop the match, but I heard that she does have some issues with it. And then the finish of the match, his wife super kicked her in the face and broke her nose.
Oh,
So
good, good.
Ruby has earned her money, and hopefully that will tide her over while she recovers at home. One of the Dark Order guys got hurt also that night. But you started out with a ladder match that absolutely, the finish of the match, had everybody in the building confused, booing, and regretting the fact that there were no refunds on ticket sales. It was awful. I mean, awful. And I'm going to tell you something, though. The talent on this show worked their behinds off. I don't lay a second of blame on any of those folks other than, the two I mentioned about hurting Ruby. But the rest of them worked so hard. But the booking and the laying out of those matches was just horrible. Did not make sense. Did not engage. There were few bright spots during this whole pay-per-view. And then, of course, we've all heard everything that happened afterward. And what happens in a locker room after a pay-per-view, when that overshadows your actual product and the pay-per-view itself, you're missing something.
Yes. Yes. I noticed Sean Ryan's really upset with this.
We're about to make his wish. I'm about to make his wish come true right here. Goodbye.
Listen,
I'm gonna miss Sean. Who?
He's gone.
I don't know what he's upset about. I guess because we talk, maybe because we say something about AEW, but All Elite Wrestling has
if he enjoys it so much, good for him. Good for him. But what I suggest he needs to do, he better film and tape all that he can, because that ship is sinking. That ship is sinking. When you've got people calling and Tony Khan's accusing WWE of tampering. How do you talent tamper? You don't talent tamper. He needs to understand WWE's not calling his people. His people are calling them. They're getting out of there.
There is a reason Cody Rhodes decided to leave there. He was one of their top people, and he knew what was going on. He knew what Tony Khan was, and he decided, listen, Vince McMahon is 100 times better than what Tony Khan is. It's not going to be years from now that I say by 2024, they'll be off of Warner Brothers. There's no way they're going to continue putting that show on the air. There's just no way. It's such a lowbrow television show. Why would you get an amateur to put together a show when you can contact WWE and they can put you a show on, and they are the leaders of that let's just say World Championship Wrestling on Time Warner, on Warner Brothers. It's a win-win for all of them, and AEW is just there's no win for them. I'm sorry.
And at the end of the day, as critical as I am of AEW, the bottom line is I want them to succeed. The more competition that's out there, the better it is. But here's the thing about AEW is they're not competition yet. There is a world of difference between building a $1 billion company and having $1 billion to run a company.
Yeah.
Because if those revenue streams, if they're not matching up, and I don't see how they're making money with all that they put out.
Let's talk a little bit about the CM Punk and what happened. Eric Bischoff believes it could be a work. But what purpose does that serve? They've tried to do it several times, and it's not helped them. They tried to do it with the MJF, and it didn't work. All it does is make time. It makes the Warner company go, these are the bunch of the dumbest people I've ever seen in my life. Because you don't produce a television show that is based, which is an entertainment show. And if they're calling themselves a entertainment show and not a sporting show, that's not good for them, because they want to get rid of all the entertainment stuff. So I just don't see them continuing the contract with them. All right, let's say this is true. Now I can understand. I wouldn't mind punching one of the young bucks as well. There's a possibility because I believe that CM Punk left when he left. I don't really believe he was as hurt as he said he was hurt. I just thought after that little media thing and what's his name went off on him the way he did, that he's looking over at him thinking, this is the guy running this company and he's over here doing this. I don't believe he cares if he's there or not. I think CM Punk's looked at it and said, what a mistake I made to come back to wrestling for this guy. If he was going to come back, he should have come back from WWE. Even though he believes that WWE destroyed his career, he wouldn't have had a career without WWE. Rodney, your thoughts on what's going on in the World of Wrestling? By the way, Daniel Lang, thank you so much for the stars. We appreciate it. Daniel Lang sent us some stars. If you'd like to send us some stars, you can as well. It goes directly to everything that we do right here on Pro Wrestling.
Well, as far as this, and I think I know what you're referencing with the Young Bucks, who apparently, if I were them, I would try to get probably Planet Fitness as one of their sponsors, and then have the Young Bucks to go in to see what actual inside of a gym would look like. That's probably the first time they'd be able to see it, but it looked like they might need to be looking at it. Basically, what we're seeing right now is AEW is merely ran by the teenagers. And maybe some teenagers might be do a better job. Anybody who would have a 5-hour pay-per-view is out of their mind. You have all that talent, and then all you're doing is all they're wanting to work on TVs and pay-per-views. You don't have enough room for them, and nobody wants to sit through all of that. Or I don't. The maximum of a show is, and we've done 2.5-hour shows. They're just too long. 2 hours is basically the maximum you can go, because it's not the fans don't enjoy the product, is they're exhausted by the time they get to the end of it. And then it's hard for you to get them to come back. So I would recommend cutting those shows down. For them, there's nothing wrong with going out and running towns. If the wrestlers want to wrestle, there's nothing wrong with that. Getting out there and running some of the markets, because that's really having local shows in the markets is actually how you build your company and bring people in. Hitting the markets wherever they may be is how you get out there and build your company up. So, the talent tampering really got me this week, and Tony acting like a child about, oh, they're tampering with my talent. No, like I said, they're not tampering with your talent, Tony. Tony, your talent is calling them, trying to get a job. Just like we have Mr. Braun Strowman showed back up, and I believe he did a Shockmaster coming across the ring. I believe he slipped and fell, but he was running around the ring. I don't know if anybody noticed that, but I said, wait a second. He disappeared there for a second. Miss Chad Gable's all together. I think, no, not Chad. Miss Chad all together, and fell on the floor. I think he just slipped on the same stuff. Act like he did. He runs off. There's something. Yeah, that's what. But that's my opinion, Mr. Khan and AEW.
Donnie Hester, thank you so much for the stars. We certainly do appreciate it. Let me ask y'all this question about AEW, and then we'll move on to WWE for just a second. If Tony Khan and company decided this was a good idea, and let's say they said, "Oh, we'll go back and do this." If they show footage of this, we all know it's a work. If there's footage of it, it's a work. If it's not footage, what do? Do you fire CM Punk? Or is this CM Punk telling Tony Khan, you've got to get rid of those 3 people that he got into an argument with? Because until that company's going to go to Tony Khan's got to step away. He's going to have to step away from his own company, and he's going to have to get rid of those people. And he's going to have to develop a company not based on these are my play toys and this is what I'm playing, and actually get into the real gist of promoting wrestling. Jack, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. If all the issues are legit, and I don't know, none of us know for sure, but if they are legit, then all the issues, all the problems, the toxic behaviors there that are allowed, that falls directly on Tony Khan. If he can't captain his ship, then he needs to find someone who can. Doesn't mean you can't still play owner and still do all the appearances and get your face on camera like you're so loving to do, but you got to get somebody in charge that can control everybody. You cannot let the inmates run the asylum. This goes back for as far back as wrestling when it first started. Somebody has got to be in charge. You need to, of course, listen to your talent, take their ideas into consideration, but you got to still be in charge. You got to know when to cut people off. Tony Khan sat right beside CM Punk at that press thing and just nodded and grinned and agreed with everything he was saying about the EVPs of his own company. He didn't stop him. He didn't dispute it. He just nodded and went on. If you're not going to be the boss, then hire somebody that's willing to.
Yeah. Rodney, your thoughts on all this fights and breakouts, and then we'll look at we'll talk. Our insiders have some stuff to say, and we'll go through them before we look at some. We go back, way back when, and we're going to just look at some photographs today, and we're going to talk about them a little bit. Rodney?
Normally, when there's dissension, that means that you have someone weak in the top position. And they have made promises that they have not followed through. They are not inspiring. They do not motivate the crew. They don't motivate the wrestlers. And when you have no direction, and that's exactly what it looks like, there's no direction there. It's exactly what happens. Chaos. And you don't let chaos run your company. And that's exactly what he's allowed to happen, is chaos. And he's been playing buddy with too many wrestlers. He need to understand, I am the owner and you the employee. And that's the bottom line. And that's including Mr. Punk. You are my employee. And if I say jump, you say how high. That's exactly how I feel about it, especially with the amount of money he's paying him.
Yeah.
There's one other thing I want to point out about Tony is that he had a little hissy fit over the weekend too, because WWE held 2 events over the weekend. He said, "Hey, this was our weekend last year. Now I know how Ted Turner felt." Tony, Ted Turner failed. I would not compare myself with how Ted Turner felt. Ted Turner sold the company because he couldn't compete against WWE too, among other reasons,
Yeah.
But comparing yourself, saying that your competition, constantly bringing up the competition, and obviously he admitted that sales were not compared to last year. Now, he tried to fluff it over later on and say, well, they may not be as good as last year, but they're still going to be the second best. Well, this is only, the third one? So I'm not sure that it's going to be second best.
Well,
but if you want competition, then be willing to compete. And if you don't want competition, then shut up.
He had his heart broken, Tony did, because he finally realized the WWE was not going to have a joint show with him. What an idiot. What idiot would think that the number one show on the planet, company on the planet, is going to come help you? And I guess the next thing he's hoping that somebody over there will quit so he can debut somebody else from their company, because he certainly can't build his own back. And as far as MJF, Lord have mercy. Yeah, we'll discuss him a little bit later.
It's kind of crazy, what is going on in professional wrestling. Let's talk about WWE for a minute. Showing some growth. WWE, AEW not showing any growth, but WWE showing some major growth in their business. The stocks are up. So I think Triple H Shawn Michaels, the Road Dogg, all those folks that are there now, I believe they have a passion for the wrestling business, and I believe they are going to. I believe you're going to see in the next 5 years. I think you're going to see another spurt for the WWE. They've got the right people in charge now that they're going to make it. Jack, what do you think?
I agree. I think the turn to a more serious product is a big part of this. It's an old vision. That's the thing, is that they're doing stuff now, that worked back in the 70s and 80s. They're looking back and they're going back to the roots to a great deal. Now, not completely, because there's things about this modern product that people are invested in. We're not going to get rid of the top rope dives and stuff, not for a while. But I definitely see where they've toned it down. There's not as much of that going on.
So let me clarify here, Jack. As you know, I don't want to start anything, as you know. But I felt that the rapid fire leg slaps from Rey Mysterio, I thought that was just brilliant. And I think they need to do that more often. I don't, and there, did you see it?
I did.
Oh my, it was awful. It was awful. It was like, Ray, watch me. I'm gonna slap my leg 3 times in a row right here in the corner. It was out. He was standing on the ring apron, and he slapped his leg when he's kicking, bow, 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 3 times. I thought, oh boy, I'm glad I'm watching and fast forward the sound down. I wonder where Ray got his acting ability from. I guarantee you, Corey's working with him daily.
He is not. He's never has been a great wrestler, but when it comes to interviews and as the newfangled people promos, not very good at that. Never has been. Let's talk now. Let's go see what the insiders, because a lot of people had some.
I was wondering if they could get him a box to stand on when he does interviews, so that he won't have to be looking up at those people. Them women coming over there, they're towering over him. And I just thought, well, if they could just get him up at eye level, at least, might be all right.
Oh, man. Oh, I wonder who else wants to leave us right now and follow us. We have over, so everybody knows, I believe now we have over 45,000, almost 46,000.
Minus 1. I'm sorry.
Now we got 40. That's right. We got minus 1 because they got to unfollow us for some reason.
Can't win them all, but you can win the 45,000 plus.
That's true. So that one didn't like us.
Well, apparently, maybe he was the president of the CM Punk fan club.
Or the Young Bucks fan club, or Tony Khan. If old Dave Measure, if he hears us, he'll be mad as well. So that'll be all right. Yeah. Good evening, gentlemen, from Richard Hood. Richard Hood sends some great stuff, by the way, to me. I don't know if he sends it to Jack or not, but some good stuff. We'll have to talk about some of the stuff he sent us. Victor, thank you so much for the stars. We certainly do appreciate it.
Richard, do you have a program collection as well? I'm just wondering. Of course, ours got damaged, but I just wonder if Richard had any program collection there.
We need to have one. We need to have like a fan deal. We don't have to bring no wrestlers there, but just fans, and let them bring all their merchandise and everything they got. And we all share it one time. Just see what we can read.
All the memorabilia, right?
Yeah, memorabilia. A whole weekend for that. What's causing all this? Somebody tell me from Mako. Jason Mundy is with us as well. Jason Mundy, I hope all is good. Wendy Harkins is also with us. Evening, everyone. Richard Hood, I got my money on Rodney. That's what he's saying.
Well, Richard, I am a champion right here. See right here.
Donnie Hester, again, thank you for the stars. We appreciate it. Hello. Hello to you. Glenn Allen Shelton is also with us. Charles Alford is listening to us. And afternoon, gents. David Bice. Good evening, guys. Have a great show. Glenn Allen Shelton, was in hospital. Is he talking about somebody? He was in the hospital. Glenn was.
I believe he's saying his back was in the hospital. Where's the rest of him at? I think.
Glad you're back, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he said back was in hospital. I get it now.
What?
Took me a while. He meant he's back. He was in the hospital.
Oh, okay. I thought he meant his back was in the hospital. I don't know, but I get it now.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm very slow. It's not you, Glenn. It's me. It's me. I understand. I couldn't even say some word the other day, and so I understand. Howdy, everyone. I hope everyone had a great Labor Day weekend. Go Dogs!
Yeah, Georgia started their next 41-year climb to another national championship.
Kevin Penley, Rodney, rake the eyes and run.
That's it. Has he seen me fight before?
Victor Nash sent us some stars, and he said my money was on Kevin Sullivan. Victor Nash.
Just wait till you see next week's graphic for the show.
Oh.
Wendy Arkin said, I read that Tony Khan was mad about WWE running 2 pay-per-views over the weekend. Jack, I think you spoke about that.
How dare you? Those weekends are mine. Did you not see my name on them?
I reserved
that's my territory.
That's right.
Ted Allen told me that one time. We were around Cartersville, Georgia, for World Championship Wrestling. He said, that's my territory. I said, hey, I don't remember when you bought it. When you purchased this, I don't remember this. Hello, guys. Missed y'all from Brian Young. Funny, I thought the AWA show sucked, but younger fans seem to have loved it. No idea why. Well, they don't know.
Comparison.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, I believe that is true.
Jason tastes good till you've had ice cream.
Jason Hawkins, Punk's tirade made AEW come off really bad. Tony Khan looked like a hostage sitting there like he was just holding his breath and hoping it would be over soon. I don't ever watch it, so I don't know. I watch bits and pieces, and I can't even stand to watch bits and pieces of AEW. I'm sorry. I do watch bits and pieces of WWE, but very rarely will I watch AEW. I just find it to be very amateur. It's like amateur hour when you watch it. Kurt says, "Good evening, guys. How you doing, Kurt?" Kevin.
It's the commercials. Do they seem very amateur in those shows as well?
I don't watch.
Well, maybe the commercials might be more interesting than the show. That's probably what they're really turning in to see.
Jack, I don't understand the dive every match, broken tables weekly, and that the office in the matches never loses. Kevin Henley, Jack.
Well, let me explain this very simply. Tony doesn't know how to book.
When you use the word that he don't even know what it means, book. No, he doesn't know even what that word is.
He's the word though. He does.
Oh, does he?
Considers himself a great booker.
Oh, does he? I would figure he might be a writer.
I considered myself a great astrophysicist.
But
if my computer, my little calculator ever quits, I'm screwed.
Hey, really, Tony Khan at this point is making Vince Russo look like a genius.
And that is hard.
Yes. Jack, I already read that one. I never said I was a genius. That's what. Victor Nash. Hello, everyone. And again, Victor, thank you for the. And also, I like my money is on Kevin Sullivan. I thought that was very nice, Victor. That was good for Rodney. Let's see. I was really impressed with Saturday's pay-per-view from WWE. Wendy watched the pay-per-view of WWE. Now that's saying something for. You know what? I think they're going to get it. I believe it's going to take a while, but I believe they're going to. I think they're going to hit that because I believe they're already at 2.6 million on Monday.
Yeah, was just looking up while we were on here, and they're back over 2 million on SmackDown again. Of course, the week before they were only under, they were at 1.9 because they were preempted all over the country for football games.
All right, so now let's get back to if it was a knee to the face, that it was a knee to the face that broke her nose. Victor Nash said. Wow.
Well, it'll break mouths and jaws too. Knees will do that. Even your own can do that to your face.
Ask Rhea Ripley.
That's right.
I'm always perplexed. Go ahead.
Her teeth, her the work that they did on her teeth were outstanding. You have to admit that was some good work there. They need to have her dentist on to see who did that wonderful work, to give him a plug, because that was some fantastic work there. When she smiles, they just will turn the lights out, because I'm telling you, that's some good work right there.
I never got to her teeth, so I don't know. I didn't really see. I am always perplexed when a guy goes to the top rope and sets up some type of black flip or similar. Thank y'all. Stunt, and all the guys on the floor just stand there waiting patiently for the guy to jump. If someone was diving off the top ropes toward me, I would just.
Jason, are you talking about that Fatal 4 match at the beginning of Raw last night? Is that what you're talking about? Where the Los, whatever names were they, that was up on the rope with Montez or whatever, and then they do the back flip, and then it was a fantastic, stunning stunt acrobatic routine that would look good in the circus, but I'm not sure it's good for wrestling. Because that's exactly what they did, what he was talking about.
Well, you should have seen the footage of Comic-Con in Atlanta, Georgia. That was some of the dumbest, craziest wrestling Tony Khan's product looked good compared to that. That was man. Wow. That was horrible. And the fans were just sitting there thinking, and they were thinking to themselves, I'm glad this is free. I'm glad I didn't have to pay extra for this show. Let's see, where was I at now? Kevin. Here's Kevin. Kevin Finley.
Hey, did you see the Peacemaker thing at the Comic-Con thing? The John Cena Peacemaker thing?
No.
Yeah, the guy is a friend of mine, Sean Legacy. He did that so perfectly. It's all comedy, which is what they want there.
Yeah, they do go for the comedy, but man, the matches were horrible. What I saw of it was horrible. Poor Tony is like, he knows nothing about the actual business, but I think Punk was trying to protect him. Possibly is. I mean, anybody with any sense would know, please get the Young Bucks off your television program and get them to sell the merchandise and put up the wrestling ring. But don't let them do it.
I'll be honest. If this is all legit, I kind of side with Punk.
I do too. Yeah, because what he's saying is true. I mean, I'm sorry. He's telling the truth. Let's see. Brian Young. Folks, if you want to see good shows, YouTube had a ton of Mid-Atlantic 1981, 1983 full shows.
Sure do.
And reviewing for everyone at WWE and AEW.
Yeah, they're awesome. I got to see some of the stuff. Greg Valentine against Wahoo McDaniel, where Valentine broke Wahoo's leg. That was $2,000 versus the Mid-Atlantic Championship on TV. Tremendous match.
See, Jason Hawkins. Sheamus and Gunther was as close to an old school match in a long time. It was very well done.
What about the response from the crowd to Sheamus? It was tremendous.
Tremendous, yeah.
It was yeah.
Hey,
and people were
maybe face or heel.
They turned him babyface for that. The crowd did. But fans here were all up in arms. They didn't think Drew McIntyre deserved that title shot against Roman Reigns. They didn't want to see Sheamus. But buddy, when that pay-per-view was going on and those guys came out, that building absolutely exploded. The WWE knew who their talent base was over there, or who their fan base was over there. And you couldn't have had better matchups.
And Gunther, I have we're going to be seeing some huge things. This man is in the same realms of a Fritz von Erich. I'm not going to say Baron von Raschke because he's what's better than him, but you know, in that kind of genre for sure. And it has all the makings of a superstar.
And the funny thing is that reports has come out, after Vince stepped down, that Vince was fixing to stop his push. Vince didn't like that style of wrestling anymore, so he was fixing to basically job him out.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Vince being gone is the best thing that could happen to WWE, and not because of what he's been involved with and what he's been allegedly said he was doing. Just he took time to go.
And Triple H gave an interview where they asked him about Vince's involvement, and he said Vince is not involved anymore. He said we had a talk, and he said don't ever do things going forward with the thought in your mind would be, well, this is what Vince would do. He said, don't do what I would do. Do what you think needs to be done.
It's good.
So
And it's exactly the right, and that's what a true leader would do.
Yeah. Regardless of anything else, you never had to question about Vince McMahon being in charge.
Exactly. Best part of the main event Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre is when Theory got KO'd by Tyson Fury.
That was funny. I mean, it was funny, but they didn't present it as a comedy thing. But man, that crowd went. I popped for it. I thought it was great. Of course, don't go by me. I actually enjoyed the sing along after the match was over with too. So.
They got that from the Honky Tonk Man. Rick Brooks, hello guys and everyone watching from Falmouth, Kentucky. Sean Smith, the explosion of AEW.
No, that's implosion.
Implosion. Sorry.
I did a meme. I don't think I shared it on my Facebook yet. I took the cover for the DVD of the Rise and Fall of WCW and redid it as the Rise and Fall of All Elite Wrestling, with the caption being "Coming 2023 to the WWE Network."
Now, if true, Victor, and I'm not questioning what you're saying there. If true, this is the reason Tony Khan's going to be out of business. Can you imagine paying this man $1 million? I wouldn't have gave him $10 to come out there on my show.
He might have given him a raise, maybe even to $1 million a year, but he didn't for that one event, because I think the event itself was $1 million house. So you're giving the entire house to one guy. I don't think that.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
He wouldn't even. I'm be honest with you, he's not worth $1 million a year. I'm sorry, he's just not.
And the crowd turned him babyface at the end too. It was CM Punk's hometown, but they were chanting MJF when the show was going on, with Punk standing in the ring.
Yeah, I think Punk has actually run his course as well, and he's just. I mean, I would have never gave him the money that he got to begin with. We wouldn't do it. We wouldn't have gave it to him because we understand new talent is where it's all about. And I'm not saying MJF is not worth money. I'm just saying currently the way they have done him, it's going to be very hard to get him over anywhere else because just the language on this show is ridiculous.
Let's repeat after me. Tony Khan booking.
If he would let others book, then he might last. He has the people to run the shows. Yeah, but he's not going to do that. He's got to be this is his toy. It's not nothing more than a toy to him.
Oh, he's upset because the big boys won't let him play. They won't play with him now.
Football starting. Does Dad pull his money? Glenn Shelton.
Well, he said he's brought in $100 million, is what I understand. He was boasting about that.
He spent 101.
Yeah, he didn't say what he spent. He just told how much he brought in.
Spent it on MJF for $1 million appearance. Come on.
Eric Bischoff says, and Eric Bischoff should know that it's costing them over $450,000 an episode to do those shows. Well, just do 450,000 an episode and times it by 52. And then there's a lot of money. There's a lot of money, and then what he's making because Warner has said what they pay him. So I don't know. I just don't know, and I really believe that the AEW's product is if there's an ABC in the advertising people, it's a C. They're not getting top tier money. They're certainly not getting middle money. They're getting the lowest money they can get from their sponsors because it's such a lowbrow produced television show, and I just cannot see major sponsors giving them that much money. I just can't see it.
Well, my question is, never mind. It's mind blowing to me. I mean, it just blows my mind. I mean, think about it. You have how many hours of prime time television? And your main thing is, I'm going to buy somebody else's talent. I'm not going to produce my own. And then when they do produce their own, the Wardlow, they try to produce him, right? Now it just looks like they're going to turn him after all this time. They're going to turn him because they didn't do anything with him. They didn't push him to the top. He should not have been in the main event coming up. It should have been CM Punk. It should have been Wardlow in the main event against Moxley. But no. And here they all that time spent trying to build it, and it flopped. And so now he's going to go back. Well, that didn't work out good for me. I'm going to have to go back and get some more WWE guys.
Now, Punk is a ratings draw. Now, not compared when you compare him to WWE.
Yeah.
But, when he's on there, usually those ratings go up, 1 million people. But they're not doing that right because last week, I believe it was, or no, week before last when Kenny Omega came back, they did that dumb deal with him and Moxley about 4-minute match. And then that was halfway through the middle of the show, but you still they know Kenny Omega's debuting. So they're thinking, hey, we're going to keep the ratings, but they lost 200,000 viewers. Nobody cared that Kenny Omega came back. That's your regular crowd without Punk on the show is at 950,000.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that was it? So your prime match was CM Punk against Moxley
in the middle of the show. Yes.
And 1 million viewers. That's pathetic.
Yes.
That is absolute pathetic. Your big match that should have broke all records, and all you had is 1 million people watch that. That is pathetic. And that's probably what we'll end up having to call this show pathetic.
Without Punk there, that's 50,000 people that they're not drawing.
Unbelievable.
Triple H has been very critical of Punk, and Sunday night showed he just might be right. I was never a fan of
H. Yeah, most anybody that's worked with him, has talked about the issues.
Yes. David Bice, you guys think the shows of today compare to the show? No.
I watched a match with Blackjack Mulligan and Paul Jones. And this is Blackjack just beat, I think, Paul Jones for the United States title. And I'm telling you, that place went nuts. It was packed. And you could feel with the sound of the crowd how emotionally invested they were with Paul Jones. They put when Blackjack put that claw on Paul Jones, I mean, that place just erupted. That emotional connection is gone. It really is.
Let's talk about that for just a second. I just was looking through my photographs and stuff that my programs and stuff that I do still have, and I pulled this picture right here of this man right here. Is Nature Boy Buddy Landel. He gets talked about a lot in wrestling. A lot of people say, "Oh, he's just playing the Nature Boy." There's only one Nature Boy, Ric Flair. But think about the matches he had with so many people. I mean, he had great matches with Terry Taylor when he was with the NWA. I mean, Because Buddy was good at what he did. I'm sorry, Ron. I didn't mean to talk about Terry Taylor. But here's a man that knew what he was
Is
doing.
that Buddy's mug shot you have there?
Yeah, that was with his mug.
Okay, I'm just wondering.
This was took in Knoxville, Tennessee. This was took in Knoxville at the Knoxville Civic Coliseum. It was for the program that Bob Polk would do. We didn't do it. Bob Polk would do it. And so, yeah, we have a lot of these pictures that he had the background, the screen background. And I guess that way he could be cut out and you could use it. But Buddy Landel knew what he was doing in the ring. He was a little crazy. Let's be honest with you. Buddy was a little crazy. But when he got inside that ring, you believe what Buddy Landel was doing was real. Because a lot of people, when he wrestled, he was a little stiff. But where is this guy in the wrestling business now? Jack, is there a Buddy Landel really out there? People talk bad about him, but Buddy Landel was a tremendous wrestler.
The only reason we know this, the only reason Buddy Landel wasn't a major star, why he wasn't the world champion, was Buddy Landel and the actions outside the ring. Is there utility guys now that compare to him? No. They just, there's guys that they look at today, like a Dolph Ziggler, that they plug in and plug out as needed for whatever spot they're needing. And Dolph is good for today's product. But there's no Buddy Landels. There's no Ric Flairs. Heck, there's no Hulk Hogan's.
No. Rodney Buddy Landel. He was great. Now he had personal demons. We all know that. But when you put him inside the wrestling ring, he had matches with people.
Oh, yeah. One of the best matches ever was Wendell Cooley against Buddy Landel, the 1 hour time limit draw up there in Knoxville. That was a tremendous match. And, of course, in that picture, it's not pictured, but down below is one of the strippers he picked up at the club. You don't see her. It's the reason they've cut it that high. Reason he's got a smile on his face like that.
We were there one night. We were in the building one night. Buddy Landel was on the card. I don't remember, but it was in the Continental USA Championship Wrestling. And all at once, in the back bleachers of the Knoxville Civic Coliseum, a fight breaks out between two women. And I mean, they were going at it. They were knocking down. They were knocking chairs down. And these chairs were connected and they were knocking them down. That's how much these women were going at it. And I remember going, man, that was tremendous. Did y'all see that fight? But he said, yeah, I saw that fight. He said, and I knew him. He said, what do you mean? He said, well, that was my wife and my stripper girlfriend.
The first time I met Buddy was backstage at Batwell Auditorium. And, there was a payphone back there on the mezzanine floor, right beside where the TV, the cameras, the monitors were set up. And so I walk in and Buddy is on the telephone. And I you can't help but hear him. And he's like, baby, please, I just need the car. You can take everything else. I just need the car. The car is how I make my living. And if you want some money from me, you need to give me the car. I have to have a car. I have no way of going. And this went on for the longest. And finally, he hangs up and his head's down. And I walk over to him. Now, I've never met Buddy. And I said, man, you need a ride? He said, oh, no, my girlfriend's here. Now, I'll tell you this, though. When Buddy straightened out, he was still married to the same wife and remained so, for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
She really put up with a lot to get him where he needed to be, but he eventually got there.
Yeah, Buddy was always good to us. Always didn't matter. If he saw you, he went out of his way to say hello, and that's who Buddy Landel was. Buddy was
I remember Buddy coming by the Knoxville Coliseum. He wasn't on the card. He was just dropping by. And I said, well, what are you doing here, Buddy? I just said, I just thought I'd come by and see you. I said, you shouldn't have wasted your time.
Oh, buddy.
True story, by the way. I said you shouldn't have wasted your time. He said,
If we can ever figure out how to do the, well, we can tell a lot of Buddy Landell stories. We were around Buddy Landell from 1983 until 1990 something, all the way to K-Town SmackDown in Knoxville, Tennessee. Buddy there was always a great Buddy Landell story, but for some reason, our only subscription thing, it does not work every time we try it. There's just something wrong with it every time we try it. So, but Buddy, a great guy, great wrestler. If you've not seen the stuff that he did in Mid-South Wrestling, go back and look at that. He was superb there. He had more heat than anyone in the territory did, next to Wrestling 2. I know Jim Cornette says him and the Midnight Express had a lot of heat, and they did. But this man right here had a ton of heat, and so did Wrestling 2 during his feud with Magnum TA. We were there. We saw it firsthand. People hated Wrestling 2, and it tells you Wrestling 2 had more heat than anyone during that point in time, because when the Midnight Express whipped them, it almost turned the Midnight Express babyfaces on television. And Bill Dundee told us, "Oh my gosh, I made a mistake there." All right, let's go back to the insiders. Let's see. What was that? Kevin Finley. AEW should ban dives, broken tables, and that super kick.
I don't. What else would they have?
Rick
do they have experts in leg slapping over there as well?
Yeah, that's the that they actually show you that in a school prior to that, and Dustin Rhodes shows them how to do it.
Oh, okay. All right, just making sure.
I don't know that Dustin Rhodes.
Now, the Jackson boys, they can teach you how to slap your leg. Now, they can't teach you apparently how to dodge chairs thrown at your face, but
Rick Brooks, I want to thank Rick Brooks for just a moment. He has been a subscriber with us for 16 months, and we certainly do appreciate it. He is coming up on the 16-month subscriber anniversary, and we certainly do appreciate you supporting our channel, $2.99 a month, and we do appreciate that. Mickey Mayfield. A lot of the programs that we use on Pro Wrestling Inside and Out is from Mickey Mayfield, and we certainly do appreciate that. He says, looking through my GCW wrestling program this week, I really miss real wrestling. And while we're talking about Georgia Championship Wrestling, I want to throw this up here for just a second. This is an old circular that was in Cartersville, Georgia. This was at the high school gym. This was sold out completely. And when people said they were hanging from the rafters, they were really hanging from the rafters. And it was packed. It actually came back the next time, and it went outside at I guess it was the high school stadium, and it was another great card. But look at this card. The main event, Return Georgia title match, 2 referees. This was promoted by Ted Allen as well.
his territory.
Yeah,
That's right.
Main event, Ole Anderson, Ivan Koloff against Stan Hansen and Tommy Rich. Title match, I guess a TV title match, Ray Candy against the Executioner, which I think was Buck Brannigan. Big Bill Drummond against Rocket Monroe, plus one other all-star match.
It did say all-star, right?
Yeah, I did say all-star, yeah. All-star.
That makes it better when they do that.
And this was done by with Southern Posters in Atlanta, Georgia, that did all the posters back in those days. But Rodney, you remember this? You remember this?
Oh, that was a good show. That was a good show. Those people were hanging off the rafters, and it was very rare that Ole would be in a spot show like that, and to have a championship match on top of it. It was really unheard of. But it was a special night. Ole and Ivan against Stan Hansen, Tommy Rich.
And I think one of the referees was our father. They probably didn't pay him any extra for that night, but that was Jim Barnett. Very rarely paid him. You know, when he worked there, he would get a percentage, and I think it was 10% of the spot shows in that area. And one week he made a lot of money. And then Jim Barnett said, "Listen, I think I'm gonna do this for you. I'm just gonna raise you up $100 a week." Now he was making about $400 or $500 extra a week by making 10%, but Jim Barnett It's like any promoter. Oh my goodness. I can't.
Yeah, his stockholders are going to have a fit.
Yeah, so making more than
'Cause
stock.
I believe he had like Cartersville and Gainesville in the same week because Dad
Yeah.
was the promoter of Gainesville too. Nah.
Gainesville, Georgia was actually while he was in Knoxville.
Yeah.
He was still would go to Gainesville, Georgia, and to certain towns because those was his towns. He made 10% of the gate until Jim Barnett decided he was making too much money. Promoters, wrestling promoters, you can't trust them. That's the reason you can't trust that Tony Khan and Vince McMahon or any of them promoters in pro wrestling.
Yeah, it's nothing new.
Let's see, Sean Smith. I saw a report saying that Punk was injured in altercation.
No, I don't think so. Everything that I've read was the Jackson boys and somebody ate Kenny. That they still supposedly bit Kenny. So
Yeah, well, I bet he had to go get some shots for that. I'm pretty sure.
instead of somebody killed Kenny, somebody ate Kenny.
David Townsend, love it. Happy birthday to the monster. Among man, Braun Strowman from Victor
Made his
Nash.
big return last night.
I would like to see the new NWA step up and take AEW's place. From Richard Hood. I've not seen the show, NWA show. How was it?
It was very, very good. Honestly, they're trying really hard to recapture the old school feel of professional wrestling. They occasionally have a few words that slip out, but not very often. And it's mostly from guys like that Matt Cardona who thinks you have to say stuff like that to get yourself over. But the way they present the matches, and when you do certain moves now, they actually sell those.
What? Unheard
I mean,
of.
it's really very good, and I especially love the TV shows because there's no music. Guys just come out, go to the ring, and Lord, his name, the owner, it slipped my mind, but he said, obviously, he said, Corgan, he said, obviously, I've got access to music. He said, but that takes away from the air of the atmosphere of everything that I'm looking for. He said, when we do pay-per-views, we do music, He said, because you expect that on pay-per-views. He said, you don't do that on TVs. That's not the purpose of TVs. And I'm thinking, this guy.
He's right. That is exactly right.
Really, really gets it. And I mean, I really, if y'all hadn't watched it, it's well worth the time.
Let's see here. Victor Nash said he pulled a Titus O'Neil. I did see that one. That was good. And he tripped, went way under the
He
ring.
did trip last night. They didn't linger on it. They didn't really get that great of a shot, but yeah, it happened. But there was bodies laying everywhere. So
He just tripped over them. He just tripped over bodies on the way to the ring. NWA is a lot better than AEW from David Bice. Let's see. Kevin Penley. I think Rampage needs revamped. Is it as good as NXT?
Doesn't draw. It's almost half the ratings of what NXT is. Tony Khan says he's going to fix that by putting bigger name stars on that show going forward. But here's the problem with Rampage is that it's pre-taped majority of the time. That's the reason I don't watch it. I can just look online, see what the matches and the finishes were, and I can envision all the top rope stuff, all the leg slaps. I don't have to actually watch it anymore, and I haven't watched it in a couple of months. And apparently, I haven't missed anything.
Whatever happened to Ahmad Johnson? I'm not for sure.
Hopefully, he's pumping gas somewhere. I don't know.
He had but he must have had an attitude.
He had an attitude. He hurt a lot of people. He was just not. I mean, when a guy gets a contract with WCW at the time and gets fired, how bad do you have to be to get fired from WCW during that time period?
This is true. Rodney Malcolm, please fire Punk. He is no better than he was in WWE.
Yeah,
And
I
he
won't be
believes
honest.
he's good.
I think he's good.
Yeah.
I don't think he's great. I think he's good. I think he's solid. He had a good match with John Moxley, which is not words that, those are words that rarely come out of my mouth with a match with John Moxley involved. And of course, the surprising part of that match was that John Moxley didn't bleed.
Oh.
So I'm just figuring he dropped his chainsaw somewhere on the way to the ring and couldn't do it. But the match actually was pretty old school. They told a good story. Punk got beat up, was bleeding, made sense the way it happened. It was a good match. The lead up to it was atrocious, though.
Yeah, they don't. I said this to Dusty one time with WCW. I said, Dusty, prior to the pay-per-views, he had great pay-per-views. They were so good. I said, it's called random acts of crap before you get there. There's no build-up to make you care about seeing it. It's just random acts of crap. But he would produce some great pay-per-views, though.
I think Punk would be great at an upper mid-level level. That's where he would draw the best for you. I mean, if he's the featured guy on AEW and only drawing $1 million, there's absolutely no incentive to get him back to a WWE. Why would they want him?
I was wondering if they've ever thought about doing a show in San Francisco. Because it would seem like CM Punk would draw tremendously with the home population out there. Because he looked at them.
Oh, man. Hey, Jimmy Valiant did very well. He had his street people, and he did.
That's right. He had the street people.
I think wasn't Rocky King one of his street people once?
It was.
I thought he was. And Miss Atlanta Lively was one of his street people, wasn't? Or wasn't she? I'm sorry, Miss Atlanta Lively. Call him a he.
You'll have to watch it with your pronouns on here, Brent, or they'll have you banned.
Yes, they will. It all started in the media scrum before you went into the locker room, and there's no video. I searched all day.
What he said was at the media thing, but the altercation didn't happen till after they got into the locker room, because Punk was in the locker room when the Three Amigos came in to confront him about everything.
But here's the thing. Tony Khan, they should have went to Tony Khan first. They shouldn't have went into a dressing room, and Tony Khan should fire them for even going in the dressing room. You said you had a problem with CM Punk. You should have came to me, and then I could have dealt with it. But you went on your own. He should fire all three of those.
Of course, let's be honest. If they had gone to Tony Khan, Tony would have said, "Well, it's not my problem. Y'all need to go deal with it."
What a tremendous impersonation! I would
love to have a relationship with someone who looks at me the way Tony does out into space when CM Punk is talking.
Well, my question is, why was he out there? Why was Tony out there in the first place?
Tony's out there on all that kind of stuff because he wants you to remember that it's his company.
Oh, I see. Excuse me.
Kevin Bentley said, "Oh, by the way, Theory found his first name this week."
He did. Tommaso Ciampa also got his name back.
Glenn Allen Shelton, the Nuts running it. I think Tony just says, "Got show." Hey, he's the head nut, so he'll be. Listen,
we've already said this. If he will cut us a big enough check, we'll go up there and talk about how great it is.
So it won't be long until it'll be Tony Khan presents AEW Wrestling. Should we be looking forward to that?
Probably. Hey, don't give him an idea for another Tony Khan championship belt.
Have his picture on his belt.
Glenn Allen Shelton, if you had trouble, one would be gone. Jason Mundy, fire all of them. CM Punk, Ace Steel, Young Buck, Skinny Omega, If this happened in any other sports franchise, they would be fired. Agree with you, Jason.
Well, we know Vince would have showed him the door, and I believe Triple H would too.
Yes. Rodney,
My question is, would that have happened? Would that have happened with
It
Vince
would not
McMahon?
have happened under Vince.
No. Okay, that's my point. Go ahead.
couldn't agree more. Rodney from Rodney Malcolm. Kevin Penley, does Omega and Bucks have points in the company?
No.
Yeah, I think they're just the Stooges.
Just on the top of their head.
Which brings up another thing I was reading the other day is everybody asked about the Ring of Honor thing. You know, Tony keeps saying, well, I'm working on TV. Well, comes to find out that I don't know exactly the legal ramifications of this, but Tony owns the company in name only. He still doesn't own the entirety of the company, and that's why they can't move forward with a TV show right now.
So maybe Ring of Honor, maybe eventually will replace Rampage.
$4 million is what he has paid so far for that company.
And think about
they made $4 million since they've been in business.
no.
They lost $4 million probably, but they never have made any money in the existence of that company. I don't think it's ever made money, unfortunately. The whole concept of Ring of Honor didn't make any sense.
You know, there's no sense in buying a tape library if you don't have a vehicle to present it.
Yeah.
You know, WWE was going to buy it because they have the way to turn around and generate money off of that. Tony doesn't have that.
No. David By said, "They tell the truth, Rodney."
That's all I can do.
Can we fire the pitcher and the pitcher guy and place him with Rodney?
Okay.
You know, and WWE does picture in picture too, but I don't know. Maybe it's just because I got that big screen TV now, but it doesn't bother me as much with WWE doing it as it does AEW. I don't know what the difference is.
Victor Nash, I wouldn't be surprised if Tony Khan doesn't have 2 pay-per-views the next time WWE has a pay-per-view.
Listen, you pay $10 a month for Peacock, so you're basically, you know, if you watch other content on that show or on that network, then WWE pay-per-views you might be paying $2 if you want to average it out. You know, opposed to a $50 pay-per-view, Tony Khan better hope they don't start coming on the nights that he actually does do pay-per-views.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good for him.
He would bury them. I mean,
Tony Khan needs to watch Unhinged, Russell Crowe movie, and he'll see how to develop a heel on there and how to build the heat, and finally he gets what's coming to him. If you have not seen the movie Unhinged, make sure you go see it. You watch it because it's tremendous.
You know, Vince was the master at ignoring everybody else out there for the most part. I mean, he really did. And Triple H is a little bit different because they've taken a lot of personal shots at him. And if he develops an attitude of, or you know, of ever wanting to get back at them, I wouldn't want to be in their shoes.
No,
because your daddy might be a billionaire, but you don't have the reach that WWE does.
No. All they'll do is he'll just be spending bad money after bad money. But ask Panda Energy how much money you can lose. They will lose the same exact money, if not more, with Tony Khan. You know, at least Daddy at some point at Panda Energy told Carter, "Hey, Dixie Carter, this is not going to happen anymore. You've lost as much money as you're going to lose, and it will eventually happen." Why picture in picture when WWE goes to a commercial? I think it's a smart idea. You know, I think it because you know they got that from the racing because you know they do it in races.
We talked about that a while back. I mean, we talked about it a long time ago. Not to ever stop the action, let the commercials play, let the action continue in another screen. I think it's perfect, and it doesn't keep people from, running to another station. That keeps them, keeps their attention on the show.
Let's see. I said for weeks WWE was terrible, but I got to admit it's getting better. From Randy Christ. Eric Crawford is with us. Eric, how you doing? Kevin Barkwell, so he's going to get a little off topic. Well, we've done that too. This is a little off topic, but a buddy of mine that lived in Birmingham area in 1985 and followed the Continental Championship said Jack Lord got in a street fight with Dick Slater in his brief stop there in 1985.
No, it wasn't me, man. I would have loved to have been in the ring with Dick Slater. I always viewed him as one of the best.
And also, if he got in a real street fight with Dick Slater, Jack might not be here right now. Dick Slater was a tough person, and I don't know if anyone had ever beat Dick Slater ever. He had a punch that could knock you out. I mean, he knocked out Sting and put his head in the toilet. Not only did Dick Slater do that to him, but he had there's a lot of wrestlers that he punched, knocked out, and put their head in the toilet. That was his gimmick. He was not a person to mess with. Dick Slater was not a person to mess with. There was no one that I knew that I could tell you that could take Dick Slater. And there was a tough guys, Dusty Rhodes. Nobody would have messed with Dick Slater unless you were just an idiot. And if at that point they said, "Hey, he's fixing to go to the toilet, get out of those way."
Could you imagine if Slater would have stayed instead of? I think he went on to Mid-South, right? He was going over there to book, right? At that time, can you imagine if Slater stayed? What it would have been different. Things would have been different, I think, with Slater there.
Daniel Lang, WWE did help ECW stay in business until Heyman had to sell. Yes, now they did do that.
Heyman was brilliant at what he did.
Yes,
that was a brilliant product. He could not handle money. That was their downfall.
Hey, I saw a clip this weekend on YouTube, Georgia Championship Wrestling, where they had the people from the audience in the ring involved in a hamburger eating contest. Was that for Varsity? Looks like it was in the late 70s. I think it was for the Varsity, wasn't it?
It seems like I remember that.
I could be wrong about that, but Varsity was a huge place there in Atlanta. I think they have 3 locations down in Atlanta, but they used to just have that one. And so
I think that original location closed. I may be wrong about that, but I think they did.
Let's see. Sean Smith, give Ray the box they used for Arn. Oh, man, y'all are some mean people. I'm glad I'm not. Old school wrestling, the best. I love it from Victor Nash. Here's some old school wrestlers. Whatever we want to say about them, Robert Fuller, Jimmy Golden. I think the Continental Southeastern Tag Team Champions, one or the other at this point. Tremendous tag team.
Absolutely.
Psychology understood. Robert might only have 5-minute matches. Or if they had 40-minute matches, Jimmy Golden did 39 of it. But man, the psychology that they knew, the matches that they had, tremendous wrestlers. Jack, what are your thoughts on Jimmy Golden, Robert Fuller?
Man, some of the best matches, most fun I ever had was in the ring against Jimmy Golden. And that was on shows that we did together. You know, he was doing Bunkhouse Buck then. And man, he was so good. You know, Robert, I was around Robert a lot, never got to share a ring with him. I always liked Robert personally. You know,
there's some people that actually was in tag team matches that didn't share the ring with Robert.
Yeah. There was, you know, maybe I didn't like some of the business stuff he did, you know, behind the scenes, but, you know, that's neither here nor there. Fact is, I got a lot of respect for both of those guys.
Yes. I have a lot of respect for Robert, Ron Fuller, Jimmy Golden, Roy Lee Welch, Bob Armstrong, all the owners of of Continental Southeastern Championship Wrestling. Tremendous, knew what they were doing, understood the wrestling business. In the end, people said, "Well, if you understood the wrestling, things changed, and it was a different business that maybe they didn't understand how to change. Maybe that was the point, because some of us, maybe we just don't understand how to change. Maybe we're in that thing that we carry."
It's hard. The older you get, the more you want to keep doing things the way you've always done them, and change is hard. And young folks don't understand that, but your time's coming.
It's true, Rodney.
See what we're talking about.
Robert Fuller and Jimmy Golden. I got to tell one little story about Robert Fuller, Jimmy Golden. We were in some little place in Alabama, and Rodney was outside in the football field. And I can't remember the name of the town, but it's a little town, and it maybe had 400 people in Alabama. But we drew over 2,200 people outside in this, and we don't know where the people come from. There must have been something going on in town. We didn't think it was wrestling. Something else was going on. But Robert Fuller did go against the Nightmares. And in this match, the Nightmares decided at the end of the match that they were going to run Jimmy and Robert back to the dressing room. And it was a long way from the dressing rooms of this place to the ring. And at the end of this thing, Robert was back and was laying in the floor, breathing as heavy as he could. He got up, went and seen Danny, and said, "I will fire you both if you ever run me that way again."
I remember that.
I can't remember the name of the town, but it was a little bitty town. It was a little small town. But evidently, a lot of people come to see the football games because that was a big stadium there. And we did very good in this little place.
Was that Jackson, Alabama, maybe?
Oh, man, I cannot remember the name of the town. I just can't. It'd come to me if
as soon as we get off here, it'll come to you.
Yeah. Roddy, your thoughts, Robert and Jimmy.
Oh, tremendous. And anyway, Jimmy Golden always should have been featured. Later on, he just became a kind of a henchman type thing. But Jimmy was a tremendous talent. Robert, tremendous as well. You put a microphone in Robert's face, and I'm telling you, he could sell the ticket, and did for many years. Just tremendous wrestlers.
Yep. Kevin Penley. Can you name all the members of the Midnight Express, even originals, one you'll leave out? Randy Rose, Dennis Condrey, Norvell Alston, Wayne Ferris, Dennis Condrey. I already said him, didn't I? Bobby Eaton and Stan Lane. Maybe
there'll be one that you'll leave out.
A lot of people don't know Wayne Ferris was one of the Midnight Express, but he was. Very, very, probably Dennis threw him out, and actually it was legitimate. Probably threw him out. So probably said, "Listen, Wayne, I've had all I can take of you. I don't even want to ride with you. I don't want to have that." Because Dennis was another one of those guys that was a no nonsense type of dude as well. He did not take any crap from anybody.
You could believe though with Wayne Ferris and his abilities, especially in tag matches. What a great! That he would fit in perfectly with Midnight Express.
Yeah, this was way before the Honky Tonk Man, I believe, and I think he was punk rock.
Well, I've seen the video, and he was a Honky Tonk Man at the time.
Jack, did I leave anybody out? Did I leave anybody?
Kevin's got a mystery one here.
All right, here we go. We'll go over there and say Richard Hood was Rodney. I have a few programs. He does have a few programs. I'd love to see all these things. I'd love to see all the old stuff. The answer, Kevin Penley said Ron Starr.
Ron Starr.
I remember Ron Starr being in there. Rotten Ron Starr. They called him Rotten Ron Starr because he's just a rotten wrestler. That was the reason they called him that.
Which is why he probably was only in the Midnight Express maybe a day. Just guessing.
Ron Starr was good. I just, he was a talented wrestler. It's just something was missing there. I just didn't see it in him, there's just I don't know what was missing, but he was a great.
Probably every time you watched him, he always walked like he had something on the bottom of his shoe. And most of the time that would be right because it was Scott Armstrong. That's where they kicked the crap out of him.
Adrian and son Linda was on the pay-per-view Sunday night, and just look at what I've got right here. Didn't even know we were going to talk about Adrian Street, the exotic one, Birmingham, Alabama State Fair Arena. What a tremendous wrestler. Could beat us all at any moment, any time. It didn't matter how big he was.
Sleep. You don't even have to. He didn't even have to wake up to hurt you.
He didn't. We watched him so many times take big dudes. I mean, I'm talking football players, and said, "Listen, I guarantee you, I can stop you with one finger." And he would tell him, "I'll stop you with one finger, and you won't be able to go nowhere." And he would take that finger, he'd get it under the guy's nose, and push him against the wall, and the guy could not go anywhere. And the rest of them football players, they would go nuts. And from that point on, I've seen them do it in Columbus, Mississippi, and those football players, and they came to the matches every time.
We don't have enough time tonight, but I have got a good Adrian Street story to tell, and I'll try to tell that next week.
Adrian Street, Ron, any stories while we're talking about Adrian?
Oh, Adrian, one of a kind. Not another one like him. He was unique. And tremendously talented, not only with writing music and with wrestling, of course, but with writing music and movies and artwork, just an all-round talent, unbelievable. Miss Linda's she was just awesome as well. One of the first valets pretty much that really got involved, Miss Linda was, and could actually wrestle, which most of the other ones could not. I'm not talking about trying to pick out or point out any of them like Missy Hyatt. I wouldn't do that. I that's just too low. I wouldn't go there to mention stuff like that. I just wouldn't do it.
Oh. Hey, Missy, I know you follow us, and we love you. We love you.
I didn't mention anything. What is it? Did somebody take that wrong? Somebody must have took that wrong.
Maybe she would. I'm not for sure, but Missy is a friend of mine on Facebook.
Well,
also she's a friend of our show, but we love you.
I appreciate that, and I'm not saying anything bad at all. Miss Linda was actually a wrestler and could whip anybody, and I'm just saying that when it comes down to it, Missy simply couldn't. I'm just saying. I'm not. Now she could talk them to death, I'm sure, but as far as wrestling like Miss Linda, no, I don't think so. I would like to see that Miss Linda against Missy.
Eric Crawford. 2, Mr. Wrestling 2, a legend forever. Victor Nash once again gave us some stars. We appreciate it. And he said Kevin Sullivan. Dr. Philbo Grice, is it just me, or does Rey Mysterio's son look like a kid that they grabbed while he was waiting in line at the concession stand?
Yes, you're exactly right. I mean, and I'm with you on that. And when I see him, I always want to say, I would like to have a Big Mac value meal with that.
He reminds me of the kid that, you know, when you go get your car washed and he tells you to come on in, stop, and he goes and gets that little washer and washes your. They remind me.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Oh. Amy Berryman says, I share your show every week to the Wrestling 70s, 80s, and 90s Facebook page. It is a page about the era of wrestling. Come check us out. Let us know what
I'm pretty sure I'm in that on that page.
Alan Moore, which is a friend of ours on this platform. He has a NWA Mid America Facebook page. You have to join the group. Great pictures. There was a photograph of the pocketbook lady, and I think that was our father, Rodney, in that photograph refereeing the match. I'm pretty sure it was him. Great stuff. So if you get over there now, I'll try to share it on our Facebook page. That way you can go over there if you're a fan of Nick Goulas and the wrestling that he produced. Tremendous stuff, and you can go see some great photographs. They have some great photographs on there. And Amy, send us your actual Facebook page, and we'll share that as well on our page. Let's see. Eddie Dale, how are you doing? Tony is like Bill Watts. How are you doing? Tony is like Bill Watts.
How are you doing? Tony is like Bill Watts. Take a breath in there, and then you'll get it.
All right.
I don't know if Tony's like Bill Watts. Bill Watts would not have put up with 1% of what goes on there in any capacity.
No.
Yeah, there would be, he would be waiting to go to prison because he would have killed people by now.
Yeah, he would. I am with you, Brent. I only watch the highlights, but know exactly what's going on from Wendy Harkins. I only watch the pay-per-view because I have the Peacock Network now. I have the Peacock Network, but I never watch it. I watch Amazon Prime a lot, but I'm not for sure even why I have the Peacock Network because I don't think I've watched anything on there. Eric Crawford, my question is for Rodney. What is it about Ric Flair that makes him your favorite wrestler?
Well, I think that it's always the same thing. It never changes. You know exactly what you're going to get with him. Not only that, but not only was his match the same, so was interview. Always the same exact thing. So it was always consistent. You never had to worry about being surprised by anything, possibly not getting caught on the top rope. Possibly not going upside down into the corner or doing that stupid face plant in the middle of the ring. Those are all things. And I think the walking 2 steps and falling on his face was one of the most brilliant moves of all time. In fact, I did that just today with a handful of paper and made a mess.
I got to say something about that.
Anyway.
Ric Flair got mad at our father one time about some things that our father said because he got mad. He said, when our father got mad, Jack knows he'd say some stuff. All right.
Use a few words.
Yeah, he would say, he's a little upset. He got a little hot on the collars. He said some things that maybe he shouldn't have said. We'll all agree. I've said things.
I don't know about shouldn't have said, but boy, they were said.
But he said some stuff. And Ric Flair got mad and said that what our father said was he shouldn't have said it. That exposed it, just trying to expose the business and talk bad about the business. And then here he goes and does two spots and then falls on his steps twice and then falls on their mat. And he don't think he exposed the wrestling business. He did the flips over the top rope 22,000 times, but he didn't expose the wrestling business. He couldn't get mad at Vince because he exposed it way before Vince McMahon ever said that the wrestling business was a work. Let's just be honest. The stuff that he did inside the wrestling ring over and over again exposed the wrestling business. And that's just all there is to it.
But there was a time period where Ric Flair absolutely was the best in the business.
Yeah.
But by the mid-'80s on, everything was just a recycled match from the last time you saw him.
Yeah. Yeah. And we love Ric Flair, but that's the truth.
Yeah.
The typical
no disrespect. That's just the truth. Yeah.
It's funny how Kerry Von Erich beat him with a backslide, but all the rest of the time he was able to kick out. That's always mind-boggling to me.
And I don't understand.
I don't know whether
whatever his finisher was. He should have put the claw on him and beat him.
Well, it was
win.
Well,
it would have exposed the business.
It would have. Apparently, the way that Kerry did it was different from how everybody else did it.
The typical Young Bucks match has a boatload of these stunts too, from Jason Hawkins. Yes,
so repetitive.
Yes.
But it's
Maybe
not
they were-
just Young Bucks.
Maybe they were trained by Ric Flair.
Daniel Lang. We have discovered the mystery of Rodney's original top 10 list. Number 5, Mike Davis and Kevin Sullivan.
Mhm.
Number 4, Mike Rotundo and Kevin Sullivan. Number 3, Bob Roop and Kevin Sullivan. Wait a minute. Number 1, I guess, is Mark Lewin and Kevin Sullivan. Oh, no, that's the number 2. And the number 1 tag team on Rodney's all-time, Austin Idol and Kevin Sullivan. This is from Daniel Lang. Thank you, Daniel. That's a good one.
Well, he left one out. I remember that and it was about when he was working with Alexis Smirnoff and Ivan Koloff, when Tony Atlas had that partner with at that time too. That other guy that was with him. You remember him? The other guy with Tony Atlas. We sold a bunch of USA flags. What was his name?
Kevin
The-
Sullivan.
Calvin Sullivan. That's right.
And we'd always say, who is that? He was, for some reason, our father could not say Kevin. It always came out Calvin.
It didn't start that way. It ended up that way, and it was Calvin.
Yeah.
And maybe Dad was trying to get him to change his name to be more, Southern. I don't know. Calvin's.
During that point in time, though, I have to agree with this, though. Tony Atlas, Kevin Sullivan had good matches with Alexis Smirnoff and Ivan Koloff.
Yeah, they were very good matches. And you can imagine how much better they would have been if Tony had another partner.
David Lawson, I recently discovered World Organization Wrestling from Pensacola. That was tremendous. 1987, Pat Rhodes was in it as part of the Fargo. Yes, he was. Tag team with Ken Timms. Do y'all remember this territory? Yes, remember. And it was.
I guarantee you, David. I've seen the same thing. It's come up several times.
That's the first time
Jerry
we saw
Stubbs is on there.
Davey Haskins was the first time we saw him.
Yeah, and Jerry Stubbs was on there as Mr. Olympia.
Yeah, that's 1987.
A little known fact: I was booked for that show, and then they went out of business before the date. So,
Michael, we're good to you. Don't worry, we're heading that way.
Sean Smith, if the AEW show was their first $1 million house, how is AEW making money? The Warner contract can't cover everything.
It wasn't their first $1 million house, but it was a $1 million house, is what they were saying.
Michael Barr, I'm here. Sorry for being late. Had a sump pump to work on. How you doing, Michael? Good to see you, Michael. Let's all pray for Michael. He's going through a lot of things right now.
Yeah.
Michael, a great guy, and has been with us, I believe, from the beginning.
Yep.
From the beginning, from the first show they ever did, and on our Facebook page. CM Puke. That's awesome. That's what I call him. Right. Let's see. Kevin, Tony should sign and put the belt on Will Ospreay. The kid can go. Is he good?
Yeah, for a guy with absolutely no personality, he's fantastic in the ring.
And I'm afraid, Kevin, that's not going to happen because Will has not been to WWE, and you must go through the WWE before you're able to be pushed.
Jack's mic is very low. Your mic low?
I pulled it closer to me.
Okay. What about the return of Braun?
Yeah, I mentioned that he came back last night. Apparently, he just came back to kill everybody last night, but he's going to be SmackDown this Friday and be a regular member of the roster there.
And the thing about it is, they had that four corner matches or whatever they had that called that fatal four way, and we didn't see who the winner was because Braun came out and destroyed the whole thing. No.
Glenn Allen Shelton, Kevin, Will O versus Pac. Not for sure even who. I don't know who these people
are. Will Ospreay versus the motherless Pac. I won't say what they actually call it.
Michael Larson, CM Puke must have changed his name.
CM Puke, that is correct.
Wendy Argus, I also read that Black from AEW was wanting his release to deal with some mental health issues, but AEW hasn't granted it, or is it going to? What's your opinions on that?
Yeah, I've been reading about that, and I even wrote a lengthy post about mental health is this is a tough business. It's tough, and a lot of guys, especially the older guys, talk about, well, if you're not tough enough to survive it, you need to get out. But these are the guys that survived it by drinking and doing drugs and whatever else. They didn't address their mental health. They just became addicts to deal with it that way. It's tough. It's hard. I know what dealing with your mental health can do to you. It's a tough road to hoe. I hope he gets better. I think that Tony Khan will come through and work with him. I mean, at the end of the day, all the guy has to do is go and sit home. He doesn't have to show up. He just can't wrestle anywhere else for a while. But there's, from what I've read, he's not only interested in taking, and leaving AEW, but just in leaving the business behind for a while, to work on his physical and mental well-being. And I think that's admirable. If you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be here.
The wrestling business is a very tough business.
Yeah.
Very, that's the reason people will say bad things about us, all three of us here on this show, and they'll say things about us. And that what they don't understand is we were in the business so long, and we grew up in the business, and it doesn't bother us. We're like, well, so be it. Some guy said the other day he made a comment that, oh, here's three guys. We need to change the name of this video. The three guys stumbling through the sportatorium thing. And I said, well, great. I have no problem with that. Yeah, sometimes we don't read the stuff right. Yeah, I'll agree with that. But I'll tell you what you do. You send me a video, and we'll put you on, and then we'll be titling your video. It's very funny how people will knock people, and they won't put up, because we'll put you on here if you're going to be so good and we're so bad. And we're never said we were great.
Well, I didn't want to mention it, but now that it's out, I did think that you did stumble through all that last night. But now that it's out there, I decided I didn't want to.
And plus, there's a lot of people that take this way too seriously. They take our show too seriously. We don't take ourselves very seriously. We're here to have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I always tried to do when I was active in the business. Try to have fun while I was there. I knew it wasn't going to last forever, and the stress of trying to make it, trying to do the things, it just wears you out, and it's just not.
That is true. Michael Barr, will Braun Strowman become the next heavyweight champion for the WWE?
I don't think so.
Rodney?
Not anytime soon.
Eric Crawford, what would be Mr. Wrestling 2's thoughts on today's state of pro wrestling?
I believe he would have hated it.
Oh yeah.
But here's the thing. I've told this before, but in 1985, I was able to be on the show where Lou Thesz was one of the commentators on the TV show, and I had the opportunity to sit in the back. He was my idol, my hero. I'd met him once years before, got an autograph from him, but here I was, in the locker room with him. And when I asked him about the state of wrestling at that time period, 1985, he hated it. He had not liked professional wrestling since the 1960s. And reading his book, he even predicted from the late 40s on how it was going in the toilet. So, it's a generational thing.
Really, when you look at from around 1983 to about 1987, a lot of bad things happened in wrestling. Yep. Promotions, they did it to themselves in a way that just bad things, just bad. We could go through and tell from 83 to 87 what we saw that helped destroy wrestling and what made Vince McMahon number one. But we don't have time on this show to get in there.
That's a question. Maybe what about this sportatorium thing? Was it the whole sportatorium thing? Or was it last week when we were talking about all those disqualifications they had with the Freebird?
No. It
People
was
were upset about that.
we talked about the actual sportatorium.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he didn't like the way we did that. He made fun of it, and he never did send me a video. So evidently he did.
Well, maybe it was our language.
Can't please everybody. That's why I'm divorced.
Rick Brooks, do you believe The Rock will hurt his own career through overexposure if he continues at this rate?
No, I think that's the whole purpose. Do as much as you can for as long as you can, because nothing lasts forever.
Yeah, I agree. Rodney?
And as long as you're in demand, keep going.
Rodney don't like The Rock, so he didn't really care.
Yeah.
I've watched all his movies, and I think they're good. I like all the things. Michael Bart, Buddy Landell was a great wrestler.
I'm glad that you're liking his movies, Brian.
How did he take on the Nature Boy's name like Ric Flair? Bill Dundee, I believe, gave him the name Nature Boy. I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
And let's remember, the Nature Boy wasn't Flair's
No.
to begin with. There were other Nature Boys, Roger Kirby and Buddy Rogers, of course, was the first, well known.
Adrian Street was Nature Boy before there was a Nature Boy Ric Flair, or even probably a Buddy Rogers. So it wasn't really their names. They just somebody give it to you. CM Punk and Cabana used to bicker back and forth in the Ohio Valley days. Charles Alford said that. So they must not have liked each other back then. I could understand.
No, they were buddies back then. I don't think that split came between them till like the mid 2010s or so.
Butch Reed had a good fight with Buddy Landell. Yes, once in Mid-South Wrestling. Butch was driving in the front car. Buddy Landell was behind him. They were all riding together. Butch seen this horrible, horrible accident happening, and he slammed on the brakes. And he looked over everybody. Whoa, boy, we just missed a bad wreck right there. And all at once, all they see was Buddy Landell in the rear view mirror, and he was looking at it and combing his hair, and ran right smack into Butch Reed and whoever else was in that car. Butch Reed got out of that car and beat the living crap out of Buddy Landell right there. And this was Mid-South Wrestling, someplace in Louisiana. Poor old Buddy. He loved to comb his hair. Rodney, are there any wrestlers that you do like? That's Michael Bart.
Yes. I'm glad that you asked, Michael. This is going to we'll be here for quite some time because that list is very long. But I like Pork Chop Cash. I like Bill Dundee, Dutch Mantell. I actually like Dennis Condrey, Bobby Eaton. I like Jim Cornette, Ricky Morton, Robert Gibson, Wrestling 2. I like Robert Fuller, Jimmy Golden. Let's see, Bill Ash. We talked about him. I even liked Ole and Gene Anderson, Ivan Koloff, Alexis Smirnoff. Can I rest my case now, or do I need to go on?
You're good.
Okay.
We've only got so much time.
Yeah, that's right. We're out of it already. Hello, my friend from Richard
Tully
Hood.
Blanchard. I like him. I like Tully Blanchard.
I was unable to get on the test last week. Well, because nobody else could get on the test.
Yeah.
We just do not have, for some reason, we cannot get it to integrate with what we're trying to do. And we have tried so many times. I don't know what the answer is going to be. Jack couldn't even get on. None of the subscribers could get on. And it was done the same exact way it was done the week before. So Facebook is very bad at changing things on a daily basis. I don't know why, but they will change something on a dime. And I have not understood why they change things so drastically. Makes no sense to me. So, yes, I'm sorry. And we're not going to be a test right now because we don't know how to do it right now. It worked. It worked. It worked the first time that we tried it. Did it? It will not work anymore. We don't know why. It just will not work. Maybe they just don't want us to do a subscriber video. Maybe this is what it is. I remember Punk and Cabana would bicker. Oh, we already read that, didn't we? Charles Alford. I remember when Punk and Cabana. Well, I'm just keep on hitting the same thing over and over again. Brent, you can't trust any promoters. You really can't. You really couldn't. Especially anybody that worked for Nick Goulas. Know that you can't trust us. I subscribed last week. Thank you so much. Wish I would have done it sooner. Donnie Hester, thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. Richard Hood said Billy Corgan. I guess it's NWA Corgan. What is the thing with Rey Mysterio's son becoming a heel?
He turned at the Clash at the Castle pay-per-view. And I thought it was a very good setup. I thought they told that story, and basically you can understand why he turned heel. He felt slighted by his father for taking Edge as a partner instead of him.
Let's see. Paul.
Plus, if Rhea Ripley was asking me to do anything.
I think this is very.
I'm about to turn, and I ain't even there. Go ahead, Rod.
Oh, I'm finished. Go ahead.
No, you were going to say
go
something.
ahead. No, I don't know what it was. Now go ahead. We're reading things.
What wrestling needs to do is to me to get back, make everything look like it was in worldwide wrestling 1983, 1985. Good stuff, by the way, during that time period.
That's
Pro
what
Wrestling
the NWA is looking for. That's what they're going for.
Pro Wrestling Tees.
ProWrestlingTees.com, Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. Go get the t-shirts.
Let's see. Paul also said wrestling needs to tear down all the fancy lights and etc. Let's see. Michael Barr. Hello, Richard. The podcast will not reply back to you. Bring back the music on worldwide 78 to 86. Mickey Mayfield. I haven't bought a pay-per-view since WCW shows when Steamboat was special referee against Hogan and Sting. Didn't even know that Ricky Steamboat was a special referee. That's how much Slater versus
and actually Steamboat is a part of the NWA now. He's in there setting matches up.
Slater versus Ming. Mickey Mayfield. Slater versus Ming. Man, that'd be hard.
I'd have to slide with Ming.
He pretty tough. I don't know. I don't. You know what that? It would be good to see, but man, I don't know if either one of them would come out. It might both be. Dick Slater was a tough guy. You didn't want to mess with Dick Slater. Dick Slater was kind of an odd bird. I loved him anyway. Dick Slater was a little odd. He was a little odd. He was nice. He was too odd. David Crockett, best announcer of all time. Oh,
you're just trying to cause a fight now.
I always thought that Dick Slater, he called him Duck Slater, would have been a great choice to replace Ole and the Horseman. Yes, I think he would have been. Yeah. He could have been the gatekeeper to keep Flair in the world title, and he did. He came back and said Dick Slater. Duck Slater was his brother. It was Dick and Duck Slater, the Slater brothers, right there. I always thought, man, some of these are doubled up for some reason.
There's some kind of glitch going on tonight. I noticed.
I have a collection of WWE magazines from 1987 to 1994, plus lots of PWIs. I can't find my programs I have.
Oh man!
Hey, what did Adrian Street do on the Pro Wrestling Show on WWE?
He was just in attendance. They showed him out in the crowd.
Did people know who he was?
Oh yeah, yeah. He's huge over there. I had a promoter from over there messaged me looking for a big name to bring to a fan fest that he's doing. And I said, well, Adrian's there. I'd get Adrian. He said, I already got Adrian, mate. He said, he's the first one I booked.
Yeah, Adrian did have some great artwork. And also he did he do his own t-shirts. He would airbrush his own T-shirts. Man, they were so good. It sell. He sold more pictures. He would sell more photographs and merchandise as a heel in Continental Wrestling than most of the babyfaces would sell.
It was something I never did understand that. I mean, it was amazing.
Don Gardner said, tell me about the stars. How can I help you guys? Somewhere within what we're doing, or even it actually has the stars on there. You just push on it and you give. I think you can give up to maybe $1, $2, $3, $4, $5. I think $5 is the max, I believe. But you just click that. Facebook started this about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and they allowed us to, for people that wanted to support us, all they had to do is, and I think it's down at the bottom somehow. Some at the bottom of the thing. I had to look at it closely. Maybe somebody can help you out. That's on here. That's give it. So. I have to look at it more. I know that a lot of people. Hey, stop upsetting Rodney. Make sure Rodney wasn't mad at that. The best one was Brett the Hitman. Brett the Hitman. Let's see. Great podcast night. What I've just Simico. Hey, we did answer your stuff. Thanks, Brent, Rodney, Jack, for your Tuesday shows. Thank you so much, Eric. We do appreciate it. Michael Barr, just look at some of the wrestlers that kept their mental status to themselves and are not around any longer. Yes, that is true. Sad thing. You guys are awesome. Well, thank you so much, Randy. We certainly do appreciate you guys. Don't listen to others.
Who we are.
Yes, we're no different on this, what we're doing right here, than when we're talking to each other. Jack, Brent, Rodney, you three have been around wrestling long enough that you understand it. No offense taken here. I like this podcast. Thanks, from Michael Barr. Thank you, Michael. The territory's dropping off. Hurt pro wrestling a lot in the States. Yes, I agree with that. I'd love to see wrestling come back. I just don't know if it's feasible as far as money anymore. I think it's costs way too much money to produce a show. Who's saying crap about you boys? Who? Not cool. You guys have had discussions on pro wrestling older than you. You are creators, and I have no clue who they are. Who are these basement? These basement. Oh, who are they? That stops right there in the basement.
No, it continues on. It'll be later. He has a whole list of lasagna eating, blah blah blah. Please.
Dwellers. What caused all this? Lasagna eating basement dwellers. Mom still cooks and does the laundries. Cutters. Nothing worse.
Hey, listen, we don't say that what we do because we don't. I put all the stuff together. We don't read it in advance. If we do a video and we do it on the Freebirds, let's say we have 15 videos of the Freebirds. None of us, except for me, and I don't really read over it. I just make sure to go back and watch videos and stuff like that. But we don't read over it. Jack don't get that stuff and read over it. He does it while we're doing the show. All right. Hey, yeah, you got that thing I sent you. Sometimes I forget to send it, and I actually send it to him right directly for the show. It could be 5 minutes before the show. Hey, you never sent me that. You think you can send that to me right now? Oh, I thought I sent it to you.
So let me get this right. This person wants us to rehearse the show to be more like a WWE match.
Evidently so.
Okay.
Thanks, Wendy. Appreciate it from Michael Barr. Okay, Rodney, you can stop now. Whatever you did.
The list of the wrestlers I like.
Oh, okay. Terry Lestagraph. Hey guys, how you doing, Terry?
Hey,
Larry Hamilton, I liked him.
Charles Alford. I was in the OVW locker room with Punk, Ace Steel, and Cabana. Well, sorry for you, Charles. I'll just say it because every one of those. I don't even know who Ace Steel is, so I can't say.
He got fined for using profanity on television the other night. But he's going to donate it to a charity. Well, we can't wait to see what charity that is. I have a feeling it's to the Ace Children's Home.
Her phoner is changing out in October, so don't know what happened with the podcast. I wish people would just quit changing things. It would be nice if they just leave it the same. Us old folks have a hard time figuring it out once you change that stuff. Great show, fellas. Risa Bean, thank you so much. We appreciate you. You've started supporting our channel as well, and we certainly do appreciate you and supporting us. Who said what? From Mako. David Lawson. Did WoW go out of business because Goulas was involved? I don't even. I can't remember who was the guy that did that.
Burt Prentice, wasn't it? And Rip Tyler.
Rip Tyler. Yes, he was the one that did it. Dick Slater wrestled at the first live show when I was a kid from Randy Christ. They the first time they saw him, the Funks saw him wrestle. They knew that he was going to be good. Dick Slater was going to be good. And Terry said he looked over at his father, and he looked over and he said, he's going to be a star one day. And sometimes you think about it, Dick Slater was kind of copying Terry Funk. He did a lot of mannerisms and a lot of stuff Terry Funk would do. Is that Wahoo with the camel clutch on Big Papa Pump in the lower right?
No, that is actually from a show I did several years ago. That is Charlie Swinger on top and a guy named who wrestled as Extreme Heat on the bottom.
Let's see. I had the honor of having Wrestling to a Thunderbolt come stay over at my house and watch WrestleMania with me a few years ago, and they were not impressed at all with the new wrestling ideals. And of course, this was years ago. They recognized. All right, let's. Can y'all find that? Because I can't get over. They recognized some of the talent, but thought the business had taken a serious nosedive, and that's from Ben Masters or George Lampert. Michael Barr. Adrian also had a wrestling school and sold wrestling gear. Yes, yep. He did. The Bone Cruncher School or something like that.
Bone Crushers.
Bone Crushers. That's yeah. Would you guys agree Wrestling 2 was invested in some of the best feuds in Yes. Yeah. Dick Slater, Bob Orton Jr., the Superstar, Hack Song, Toru Tanaka. All right, now Mongolian Stomper, not too so much. Pretty bad. Mr. Saito, pretty bad as well. That was bad. Not Russell 2's fault. Just bad booking. It was. I think Tony Khan was booking that. I think it was booking that. That was horrible.
At one time, Kevin, if you didn't have Wrestling 2 on the card, you didn't draw. That was just the point at that, because that's how over 2 was in Georgia.
Oh yeah, he was. Adrian had a great voice. Remember the Shaker? Yes, I was there. We had just come back. We were in Louisiana or maybe Kansas City. We had just come back when they started that. Linda Marks is the one that put together that Shake, Wrestle, and Roll concert. And I have that video somewhere of even Tom Pritchard did some singing in this. I believe he sang "I'm Just a Gigolo." I'm not sure.
No, they pulled him out. Remember, he was at the top heckling them with Jerry.
That's right. He was. He did that at the Beach Brawl, didn't he? I'm Just a Gigolo.
That's right.
Let's see. If anyone asks, y'all are zaddies. What in the world does that mean? For sure. Well, I'm going to look that up. I'm not even sure what that means. Mickey Mayfield, and we got to get out of here. Love seeing the photo of Hacksaw throwing out the first pitch at a Little League baseball game. Yes, and I believe he is doing well now. And Jim Duggan always was a nice guy. I'll never forget. Dad would always. They would do interviews, not promos. Jim Cornette. They were interviews. They do them at the Shreveport TV station, right across the street, with some of the best turkey sandwiches that I think I've ever eaten ever. But they would do the interviews, and they would take 2 tapes and they would put them together, and those would be sent to the TV stations. And Dad would finish them every time they get through. He would do it. And he'd tape them up. And he'd put them down, and we would take them to, I believe, the bus station. I believe it was the bus station. And every time that Jim Duggan would leave that area to go to the restroom, he would kick them all down. Never
doing that same walk he's always done. He'd come in, look the way, kick them over, and walk off.
Every time, never failed. Jim Duggan, nice guy. Always was a nice guy. Rodney, I was referring to Kevin Sullivan being the top tag teams, making you upset.
Yes, they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be upsetting me like that.
It's not very, very, very mean of him. Let's see. All right, where was I at here? All we have grown up with, the kayfabe wrestling, and enjoyed back in our younger years. Wrestling memories mean so much, and this podcast keeps the memories alive. Thank you so much. David Lawson, some WoW shows did say Nick Goulas present. Did they really?
Yes, they did. And in fact, I saw one with Nick Goulas and George both in it, sitting there with Bert Prentice. Bert was sitting on the couch or the love seat with Nick. And that's I was going to say something. I'm not going to now.
Oh man, Buzz had a school too. Mad Dog's Palace. Yes, I think he took a lot of people's money. Undertaker being one of them. Rick Brooks and Michael Barr. Condolences to Bill Ash. He did pass away, and we feel Bill Ash was a tremendous wrestler, tremendous man as well. He was a great guy. Always was nice as well. All right,
and
Jack
and Michael. He was one of the wrestlers I liked.
Jack, anything we need to talk about before we leave?
I would mention that while not a wrestler himself, Debbie Combs' brother passed away this week as well.
Rodney, anything that we want to talk about before we leave?
I want to talk about Dominic for just a moment. I remember what I was going to say. It's very important what they're doing now with him. This gives an opportunity for him to break away and get out of his father's shadow. It's absolutely, if he wants to become a star in his own right, he has to be away from his father and do stuff on his own. He just simply cannot live in that shadow. We've seen what happens when wrestlers do that. Their careers go nowhere. So this is very important for Dominic. Here's his opportunity, and hopefully we're going to see some great things out of it.
All right, folks, thank you so much for being a part of Pro Wrestling Inside Out. We certainly do appreciate it. We will be back next week, and there's no telling what we'll talk about. We'll throw some pictures up here, and we'll talk about it like we did with Robert Fuller, Jimmy Golden, and the rest of the guys we did. We certainly do appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I liked Michael. I like Ted DiBiase.
Didn't particularly like what he did in the state of Mississippi, but wrestling-wise, he was really good. All right, folks, thank you so much. We'll see everybody next week right here on Pro Wrestling.
I like Nick Slater, too.